Okay, my dears, so we are talking about reported speech. What else do you remember of reported speech? I just gave you a clue, but now I need you to tell me what do you remember of reported speech? What is that? Tell me in your words.
Like you have to say, okay, you're gonna say something that other person says to another person. So you, for example, I get there and I say to Harold, um, I think that it's like um, Sarita said that no sé qué, no sé qué. It's like that, like
Okay,
reportando.
it's like that. Of course, like to report something. Do you remember that I gave you a word that is going to help you a lot to remember reported speech? It begins with G. Reported speech is like a what? For example, if I say something to Sarita, and then
Journal,
Sarita, tell me, darling.
journalist.
Not really. For example, if I say something to Sarita, and then Sarita is going to say that thing to Anna, and Anna is deciding to say that to Sophie, and Sophie is going to talk with Jose. What is that? They are saying something that I said before. Of course, they are using reported speech because you are not going to say the words exactly in the same way that I did it. But it's so similar, babies, to a gossip. Do you remember what is a gossip?
Yes.
Chisme.
Un chisme. Very good. So think about it in that way. Reported speech, gossips. You are going to talk to someone else about the things that some other person said. Okay? So babies, don't forget to take notes. You are going to need it. I am going to share my screen with you and we are going to begin like with our grammar explanation. I know that you know this topic. I know that you have seen it before. We are just going to remember the things that you should know by now, okay? Anyway, if you have questions about this topic, let me know. Okay, here we go. Reported speech, my dears. Okay, when do we use reported speech? Pipe, can you please help me reading this first part?
Yes.
Go ahead, please read it.
I don't see the screen.
No yet? Let me do it again. Let me share it again. Can you see it now, baby?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
When do you use the reported speech? Sometimes someone says a sentence. For example, I am going to the cinema tonight.
Continue.
Later, maybe we want to tell someone else what the first person said.
Very good. So, this is as I was telling you. Sometimes you receive an information or you receive a sentence or someone is telling something to you, but later you want to tell someone else what this first person said. How can you do it? I am going to the cinema tonight. We are going to check. How did you say it in reported speech? Jose, can you please help me reading this box? He told me.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um,
When do we use the reported speech? He told me he was going to cinema that night.
That night. He told me he was going to the cinema that night. Jose, can you please help me check in the chat? I am not seeing the chat. Can you please
Sarita,
Sarita, tell me.
Are you going to record the class?
The class is being recorded, yes. Do you know that at the end of the class you are going to find the recording in the YouTube channel? But yes, we are recording, baby. Okay, babies, we are going to continue. So, look at this. In reported speech, you are going to say, he told me he was going to the cinema that night. But in direct speech, the normal speech, you are going to say, I am going to the cinema tonight. Which differences can you see between this sentence, between I am going to the cinema tonight, and the reported form that is he told me he was going to the cinema that night? What are the main difference in this case? Who can tell me?
I think that the first one is the same people, that information, that the second example is the other people tell the other the same the phrase or action that this person.
So, of course, the first change is that one. In this part, in this sentence, I am going to the cinema tonight. I am the one who is saying that information. I am the one who is sharing the information. In this one, someone else is saying what I said before. Who can give me another difference? Another one. Who can give me another difference?
And the second is of the used was, and the last one is of the going to.
Okay, is of the no. The second one is the using of was and going to. Okay, we are going to check. We have another difference that is the verb. If you realize, which verbal tense am I using here? What is this verbal tense? Who can tell me? I am going to the cinema tonight. What is that? You have verb to be, you have ing,
Verb to be.
but that's not a verbal tense.
Continuous.
Continuous what? Present, past. Present continuous? Yes, very good. Don't forget, you have verb to be and you have ing. So in this case, it's present continuous. This is the direct speech, but as soon as I change it, as soon as someone else is saying what I said, you are going to realize that the verbal tense is changing. What do I have now? I have verb to be in past and the verb with ing. Which verbal tense is this one?
Past continuous.
Past continuous, very good. So one of the other differences, is that, for example, in this specific case, I change present continuous for past continuous. What else can you see? Look at this. I have tonight, and how can I change tonight? That night. Very good. I am changing the time, guys. Instead of saying, for example, tonight, I am saying that night because that tonight can be used. You can say tonight. But usually you can be talking about a day that is in the past or you don't really know the night or the specific time. So, for example, you are changing tonight, but that night. What else do you have? What else can you see? Something else or that's it? I am going to the cinema tonight. He told me he was going to the cinema that that night. Any other differences?
Me. Maybe that the sentence starts with he told me or the
Very
subject
good.
told me.
Very good. That's extremely important in reported speech, babies. The way that you are going to have at the beginning of the sentence. So, for example, in this case, is he told me he was going to the cinema. He said to me he was going to the cinema that night, yeah? So, by now, as you can see, you are going to change multiple things when you are reporting something. Let's continue. So, we are going to talk about reporting verbs. Yeah, because reporting verbs are really, really important. Let's go with Pablo. Can you please help me reading this slide?
We usually use a reporting verb like say or tell.
Okay, for example, please
For
read
example,
the first example. Just the first one.
told me that he loved me.
He loved me. Very
He
good. Stop one moment, Pablo.
okay.
So let's talk about reporting verbs. Reporting verbs are going to be the ones that you are going to use to show that this is something that someone else said. Para mostrar que esto que estás diciendo es algo que otra persona te dijo, no es tuyo, es algo de alguien más. So in that moment you are going to have reporting verbs like say or tell. I mean, these are the most common, like the common ones, but these are not the only ones. Yeah, are the most used ones, but not the only ones. So let's focus on say and tell. You have the first example. He told me that he loved me. Pablo, please read the second example.
He told me that he loved me. He said to me that he wanted to marry me.
Okay, thank you. So, babies, I have a question for everyone. As you can see, say and tell here are in infinitive in the normal way, but here is the question. Am I using these verbs, the reporting verbs, in infinitive here in the examples? Am I saying he tell me or he tells me? Am I saying he say me or he says me? Am I using that in infinitive?
What do you say, teacher? I don't know. I don't understand.
This is the question. As you can see, here I am talking to you about two reporting verbs, say and tell, okay? But when I use these reporting verbs in the example, I have this question. Do I have to use the reporting verbs in infinitive when I am going to report something? Or do I have to change it?
You have to change
To
it.
me,
Oh, sorry.
verb to be, and
You
they
have to
told
change it.
no.
You have to change it. Very good. Yes, babies, you have to change it. Why are you doing that change? Because you are, I mean, you may be talking in the present time, but the fact that someone says something, the fact that someone tells something is in the past. Es algo que te dijeron antes, que te contaron antes. Entonces, cuando tú lo reportas, no puedes decir, él me dice, sino tienes que decir, él me dijo o ella me dijo. ¿Sí? Porque no es algo que te están diciendo en este instante y te lo escuchas por un oído y luego se lo pasas a la otra persona inmediatamente. No está la acción en progreso, no está sucediendo ya mismo. So, for that reason, you have to use it in past. He told me, he said to me. And that's going to be usually the beginning of all the reported speech sentences. Do you have questions up to this point?
No, teacher.
No.
Nope. Okay, let's continue then. So, reporting verbs are important. Say and tell are extremely common. We are going to check when do we use tell, when do we use say, because we have, I mean, you can use both, but you have to take into account some rules to use it. So, Sarita, you are going to help me with this slide. Go ahead, please begin.
Reporting verbs say and tell. With tell, we need to use the direct object that are me, you, and us.
Okay, direct object. So we are going to check an example. Continue, baby.
John told me that he was going to be late.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about tell. Don't forget that you have to use it in past. But it's really important to include the direct object. The direct object is the person who is receiving the information. John told me, John told her, John told us, John told you. ¿A quién se lo está diciendo John? Siempre que utilices tell, en este caso told, tienes que decir a quién le estás dando la información. So, John told me that he was going to be late. John told me he was going to be late. What happened with this that? Why do I have that in brackets? Who can tell me? Why do I have that in brackets? What do you imagine? Why do I have it in this way?
I think that it is not necessary because you can say John told me that, or you can say John told me he was going to be late.
Very good. It's exactly for that reason, because it is not necessary, it is not mandatory to use it. I mean, you can say he told me that, or you can just avoid it. No siempre, no lo necesitan, pero pueden incluirlo. Suena, I mean, many people is used to say he told me that, me dijo que tal cosa. Yeah, but it is not mandatory. So, in the case of tell, you have to include the direct object. What is the direct object? Who can let me know? ¿Qué dije que era el objeto directo? Who can tell me? What is that?
Me. In that case, it's me.
Information.
Okay, information. Sarita, tell me. Because you talk at the same time.
What was the question?
You are so in silence now. Okay. Once again, what is the direct object? I am going to ask to someone. For example, Sarah. What is the direct object taking into account the things that I said? What is that? Sarah, are you there, baby?
Yes. What?
Okay, this is the question. Taking into account what I said, what is the direct object? This one. What is that?
Information.
Not the information. For example, in this sentence, John told me he was going to be late. The direct object is me. So, what is the direct object?
Like, no sé cómo explicarlo. The people who say that for this person.
Okay, so the direct object is the one who received the information, el que recibe la información. ¿A quién se lo estás diciendo? Okay, very good, Sarah. Let's continue. Sarita, please help me reading the next part.
We say we can or can't use the direct object.
So, in the case of say, you can or can't use it. I mean, it is not necessary, it is not mandatory to use the direct object. We are going to check some examples. So, the first one, John said that he would be late. That's the first one. Do I have a direct object here? Yes or no?
No, we don't have.
We don't have. But what happened in this case? John said to me that he would be late. Do I have a direct object?
Yes,
Yes, I have it. But what happened here? Look at this. I add something. I add to. Agregué el to. Me dijo a mí. ¿Sí ven? So, in this case, when you have told, you just have to add the direct object, like mandatory. It is mandatory to use it with told. But just like this, told me, told her, told him, told you, told us. But in the case of say, cuando utilizas este say, este reporting verb, puedes hacerlo de dos formas, con objeto directo, sin objeto directo. Without it, it's just John said that, or he said that, or whatever said he, well, no importa. Pero si vas a utilizar el objeto directo, if you are going to use it, you have to add to. So John said to me, John said to her, John said to us. No me lo pueden poner en said sin el to. ¿Listo? Questions about this information about reporting verbs? Yes or no? No?
No.
Okay, let's
Well,
continue.
yes.
Yes? Okay, tell me.
Jose or me?
Jose and then you. Jose, attack.
No se puede hacer save me, o sea, sin el tú.
No, you can say to me.
Save me.
If you are going to
Okay.
include the direct object with the reporting verb said, you just have to do it with to. No puedes decir he said me, no. He said to me, me dijo a mí. Okay? Any other questions,
Okay.
Sarita? Tell me.
When we are going to use the me, you, or us, we always have to use the to when we use say.
Yes. When you use said, you are going to use always to. Said me, said to me, said to her, said to us. But if you are using told, it's not necessary. No vas a decir he told to me. No, never in your life. So he told me, he said to me. In said is necessary the use of to. Any other question about it, guys? Okay, let's continue then. Luna, can you please help me reading this one? We are going to begin talking about another reporting verbs. As I told you, we have say and tell as the most popular ones. Those are the ones that you are going to find everywhere. However, you may find some other reporting verbs, and it's important for you to know it. So, Lu, go ahead, princess. Please help me reading this list.
He decided, he affirmed, he explained, and he confessed.
Can you please repeat? He exclaimed. Continue.
He explained and he confessed.
Very good, thank you. Look, what is the meaning of he decided?
Él decidió.
Él decidió. So he decided to make a cake. What about he affirmed? What is the meaning of that?
Afirmó. He
Él
affirmed that the sky is blue.
something like that. Él afirmó eso. Or she affirmed. I mean, you can change the subject. Don't forget about it. What is the meaning of he exclaimed? What is the meaning of that?
Exclamaron. He exclaimed how hilarious was meeting his brother.
For example, he exclaimed. Él exclamó. Very good. What about he explained?
He explained how to make a reported speech.
Okay, so what is the meaning of he explained? Él
Él explicó
explicó. And finally, he confessed.
that he was a murderer.
Okay, he confessed that he was a murderer. Let's check another ones. Let's go with this one. David, can you please help me reading the next part? The next column, this one?
He asked, he, he questioned, he
Uh-huh.
wondered and inquired.
Okay, very good. David, what is the meaning of he asked? The first one.
Él preguntó, él habló.
Él preguntó. The second one, what is the meaning of he questioned?
Él se preguntó.
So, what is the difference between he asked and he questioned?
No sé.
Is there a difference actually? ¿Hay alguna diferencia entre esta y esta, chicos?
They asked this other person, and he questioned is myself.
Okay, that's it.
He questioned your opinion of this language. I don't know.
Okay, that's one difference.
She asked to the teacher about for the exam.
Okay, that's one of the differences. When you are talking about or when you are using he asked, usually, not always, but usually is when you are asking to someone else for something. But when you use he questioned, it can be used to ask for something, lo puedes usar hacia alguien más como él se preguntó tal cosa, but usually is when you are making the question to yourself. He questioned if that was necessary. Él se preguntó si era necesario. Pero si dices he asked to Maria if that was necessary, él le preguntó a alguien más. So asked to someone else, questioned to myself. Thank you. Let's continue. David, what is the meaning of he wondered?
Él como que se imaginó.
No. Okay. I am going to stop the class right now because of the sound at the bottom of your call, David.